Hi everyone, welcome to Fox and Media Digital. My name's Amy and today I'm joined by Stephen Strange, who's Head of Product Asset Management at Ion Group. So welcome Stephen, great to have you on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, you're sponsoring the Summit for Asset Management ESG London, which is coming up on the 6th of November. So we want to catch up with you and your company ahead of your participation at some of our events, just to find out about yourself and your role. So could you start by giving us a brief introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I head product management for the asset management division. So I cover all things from portfolio management, decision making, order management systems, and investment pre and post trade compliance. So managing the whole front office solution. Prior to that, I worked in financial services and in TD Waterhouse and formerly that TD Bank.
That's fantastic. So we've got a lot to cover today. So first, could we just have a little rewind and talk about how the post-pandemic shift to hybrid working has driven the adoption of digital tools for trading, data analysis, and communication? And how has the fund manager or customer relationship been affected by this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So I think prior to the pandemic, a lot of firms were already in their digital transformation journey. What really the hybrid working accelerated that. So those who were able to, or mandatory had to work from home, had concerns of would I be able to do my job? And I think we effectively proved across the different industries that that is possible. And that really did come from technology. You were able to access the trading systems. You were still able to get the same data with the same performance and no latency. And it really was a testament to some of the infrastructure and architecture in place. In terms of how it affected relationships, some would argue going you had less of a intimate relationship meeting face to face, but in other ways people were creative and they were able to distribute information quicker and build closer relationships with their clients. So it has affected both the trading, fund management world, the sales and distribution. But as I see people starting to come back to the office, I think they're taking some of those lessons learned from the hybrid working and putting them into practice in their everyday working environment.
Yeah, very much a long-term shift that I don't think we even realize, we don't pay attention to it anymore. But one thing that we're certainly seeing in the news a lot is the market volatility that we're still experiencing right now due to several factors. So how has this affected the buy side's approach to information capturing and analysis, and what tools should firms leverage to efficiently handle future surges in trading volume?
Yeah, as we've all seen, it has been volatile. The market obviously is reacting to all the different conditions with inflation, high interest rates, large trading volumes. So really, again, if it goes back to the systems in place, they need to handle high performance days. They need to be able to extract and source and display data to the users, and they need to do that very quickly. So it has put a stress on some systems, but again, really, if you're looking at more modern technology, applications, they are able to handle this. If you have cloud technology in place, you're able to scale up your systems quickly on those rapid high market days. So it really does go again. Are you still using legacy platforms? Are you progressing in your digital transformation journey? Do you have the correct systems in place to be able to cope with this? Because this volatility will most likely continue, and as it often does.
Yeah, and that brings me nicely into my next question, which is what challenges has the shift to real-time settlement created for buy-side firms? How should they prepare for future requirements from regulators? Because, like you say, it's such a rapid requirement these days.
Absolutely, and we're seeing regulation changes coming from all sorts of different sources. But of course, the most prominent one in the US changing to T+1 is going to be an operational issue. So yes, it's great for doing real-time settlement, but really when it comes to the settlement period of being able to process that, there's less time to fix any errors. People have to, who were manually correcting stuff, obviously have lost a day in terms of being able to do that. So we do need to have automation. We can't have manual workflows. We need to have that settlement piece in an automated fashion. Now, there are systems to do that today, so we need to really be leveraging them. The challenge comes that settlement is both parties. It's not just the buy side, of course, it's the broker on the other side. So everybody has to be connected on these systems. So I think it is going to be challenging. I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch out for. But if people haven't already started updating their technology or putting the processes in place, it certainly is time to, because as we see in other jurisdictions around the world, it's most likely coming in other markets as well. We started with India, we're seeing the US, and I'm sure we'll see some activity in Europe as well. So a lot of regulations and changes to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And in light of those legacy upgrades, new automation on the scene, how does interoperability come into play here when we could talk about digitalization of smaller firms, especially? How can cloud-based platforms be leveraged to drive further automation on the buy side?
Yeah, and this is a great question. Obviously, the smaller firms don't have unlimited resources, large teams, large technical teams to be able to support adding in new liquidity venues, trading venues, new systems and things like that. So interoperability becomes key because to stay competitive in the buy side, you need access to the latest information. You need the latest data sets. You need to find where the liquidity providers are. And this comes from different systems. So I might want to have my historical information coming from system A. I might want my investment compliance system coming from system B. I want those to work together because me as the end user just needs to be able to do my job and do it well and have a good user experience. So interoperability allows you to join those applications, let them communicate and let them seamlessly do it. And now if we've gone into it with the tools that are out there, you don't need a 200 development team to be able to support that. So smaller firms are able to leverage tier one technology if they have a good plan in place and really have thought about the architecture, the strategy of their transformation and making sure they can leverage those tools. They do exist, they are available. You just need to use them in the right context.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we're coming up to ESG London this November, how does ESG come into all of this? So, with investment firms focusing on ESG investing, how has this affected their data strategy and their compliance given the ongoing ESG regulatory debate?
Yeah, so ESG, as I'm sure we all know, certainly dominates the news and the industry for several years. Now, in terms of data, it has been the biggest increase in data that I've ever seen. So now there's about 150 to 200 serious data vendors out there that are providing data. Everybody needs a bit of a different flavor of data. Are you looking at the environmental issues? Are you looking at portfolio fund level data? Are your clients looking for different methodologies, ratings, etc.? There's a huge massive data available. Now, of course, with regulations happening with the SEC recently deploying the names rule, we have a lot of European regulation that is being debated and will be going in and being enforced. We now need to have the correct data to disclose at certain periods of time. So how you have to source that, contextualize it, present that in reports is extremely challenging. And the systems have to be able to cope with this huge amount of data. So I think it will continue for years to come to try figure this out, keep close eye on the regulation. But really, in terms of being able to have a data strategy in place is fundamental because it is an overwhelming space to be in. And if you don't have a plan of how to implement that data, use it correctly and report on it, it'll cause a lot of challenges for all the asset management community.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the solutions to that is, of course, AI and automation. So that brings me to my next question. Where are predictive technologies such as AI being implemented on the buy side, and is there scope for further use cases?
Absolutely. So AI, again, as we hear it in the news all the time, there's a lot of different flavors of AI, but it certainly does have a place within asset management to automate things. It is very great at being able to go in and analyze data, construct it, present it in a meaningful way. The main takeaway here is you need to have a real business use case of what you're trying to achieve with it. It doesn't solve everything. It solves some things very well. It does other things less so well. So the real key here is to take a step back and say, well, what am I trying to solve here? And is it a real benefit to the end user? And can we put some of these practices in place, whether it's reading financial reports, summarizing it, doing research analysis, figure out what the value is, and then think about what the return of investment is. If it's going to take a team of 50 people to go in and use the AI and spend years on it, how much does that cost and what is the real benefit? So business use case is imperative here, but it absolutely does have a role to play, and we can already see it in many of the products that are out there today.
Yeah, very well said. And I think that kind of ties everything nicely together because closing thoughts, what will be the next wave of technological innovation and what should asset managers prioritize when planning the next phase of their digital transformation strategy? How would you sum that up?
Yeah, I think with the digital transformation strategy, when I talk to firms, it's a multi-year ongoing transformation project. So there is really no end date. So you have to at least put a plan in place that everybody's all in. It's a cultural change. Everybody understands how we not just digitize our assets, but make the use of the latest technologies to solve business problems. So it is ongoing. So it's a very important point to keep looking out, going, well, how can I innovate? How can I come up with new ideas? But don't do them, as I mentioned previously, in a siloed way. We'll see AI being used more and more, and that's definitely going to be part of everybody's innovation journey. But I would emphasize that point again. We are blessed now with so many different tools and great innovation coming out all the time, but really think about how it works for you, and what is it that you're trying to solve. So, and don't, as I said, there is no end point. You don't get to say we have now completed our digital transformation journey. You've got to be on the lookout for new technologies, what's going to make the most sense for you. But that's really the key point, context for your own business unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great insight there. And I think we've really whizzed through so many of the industry trends today. So that's been really great. So looking forward to having you at ESG London as well as some of our other events coming up. So thanks so much, Stephen, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for watching. You can catch the Iron Group team at ESG London on the 6th of November. Looking forward to seeing you there. Don't forget to follow our YouTube channel for more content on the challenges and opportunities in asset management, wealth management, and ESG. And don't forget to give this interview a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.